Hey guys, my name is Sarah Cooper and I am so excited to be partnering with Capitol Hill Arts Workshop this week. They are doing such a good job of promoting classical musicians during the pandemic and especially during Black History Month. I just would first of all like to say thank you, and it is an honor to be collaborating with your organization. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about tips and tricks for musicians, some of the things that we've all been struggling with during the pandemic, without a doubt. First of all, I think we all have to recognize that this is a difficult time for everybody. Nobody's getting ahead right now, and initially that was what gave me a lot of comfort, because yes, it's true that the programs that I intended to do this summer and even in the fall were canceled, but they were canceled for everybody else too. And to be a little bit honest, it actually came as a relief, because in hindsight, I can see how burnt out I was at the beginning of last year, heading into the spring, like around March. And I was kind of just going from one thing to the next. I don't know if other musicians can relate to this, but I was almost relieved at first when things were canceled, because it gave me a chance to kind of take a step back and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to practice now because I want to, and not because I have to learn this music by Friday, you know? So that's just my perspective, and I can only speak for myself. But I also don't want to give the impression that it's been easy the whole time, because that could not be further from the truth. Just as much as the next person, you know, we've all struggled with uncertainty, not even knowing if we would have an industry to come back to. And that's kind of where I've found I've really had to dig into a sense of grounding outside of myself. And this is what I highly recommend for anybody, no matter what you believe. My faith has been in God, and I sing. I initially decided to become a singer because I felt I was called to sing. My grandmother was a singer. She sang for the glory of God, and that's what she talked about when she would talk with me about singing. And when I would hear her vocalizing in the room, in the practice room, growing up, and it's something that people would testify of in her performances. And, you know, years later, I realize now that before the pandemic, I was starting to kind of lose sight a little bit of why I was singing. I was kind of looking at filling out applications as a chore, making recordings as a chore. And to be honest, when I first started, you know, I would love to record. I used to love to record. I used to love to learn new music. I would be so excited to work on a new aria. And taking this step back has given me a chance to do that again, because I'm doing it out of my own volition, not out of, you know, a contract requirement that I have to fulfill. And it's caused me to realize, even in the simple physiology of singing, the sound comes so much more easily when you're singing from a place of joy rather than a place of burden. And that's what I encourage all singers to do. In these next few months, who knows how long it'll be before things start to open up again, but I highly encourage you to dig in to those reasons why you started singing in the first place. Think about what your life would be without singing. I have thought about it. I don't like to think about it because I don't like to think about the possibility of not using my voice, but I've thought about it, and I realized that the only one who can take that away from me is God. You know, I will always have a voice, and I will always sing, and that is very reassuring. It does not depend on the pandemic. It does not depend on whether or not I get into a fancy young artist program. It does not depend on even the outcome of this weird audition season we've had. But I will always sing for God, and I will always sing with joy, and I find that to be extremely liberating. So I encourage you all to just take some time to think and to meditate. Go back to the basics. and fool around in the practice room. Remember what it was like when you first heard the live classical voice and something inside of you ignited and something told you, I think I can do that. And you knew you could do it. You believed in yourself and you were surrounded by people who encouraged you. Go back to that. Go back to that and put yourself in that position. Relive those moments. And little by little, or maybe even all at once, you will start to regain the mindset. It's almost like having to go through a rebirth. You will start to regain the mindset of, you know what, there is so much crap that we have to deal with other than the actual singing and the actual music making. None of that has to do with the reason why we wanted to go into the industry. Go back to the reasons why you wanted to go into the industry, and that will be your source of strength to get through the next time you don't know if you can do it, you don't know if you have what it takes, you don't know if you're motivated, you don't know if you want to. Think about why you wanted to in the first place. And if you do believe in God, pray for strength. Ask for that joy and sense of freedom from all the burdens and the expectations we create for ourselves that other people put on us. Study the music, study the diction, give it your all because you really want to and you know what your voice is capable of, okay? All right, well, I think that's enough for now. Thank you so much if you've listened this far into it. It's truly been a pleasure, and I wish you all the most wonderful weekend. Good night.